Just catching up with Liam Dunne here this evening at training, and just going to have a little chat about the upcoming match on Sunday week, the 8th of December, for Tomás Waters. Maybe tell me a little bit about that, Liam.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to the game. We've a game against Kilkenny up in New Ross, and all the proceeds go to help Tomás Waters financially. He picked up a very serious injury against Clare in the championship, and from that injury, from the operation, he had a cruciate ligament, medial ligament and cartilage damage to his knee. And also when Ray Moore and the surgeon actually opened up his knee, discovered that there was bone damage as well. So Tomás is a self-employed builder up in Dublin. He has 3 guys working on the books for him, and he hasn't worked since July. So I had arranged a game with Kilkenny to play us on the 7th, Saturday the 7th of December. And we just came up with the idea then, along with the backroom team, that maybe Kilkenny might travel down to play us the following day on a Sunday. And you know, any proceeds go towards Tomás, and I'm hoping there'll be a big crowd because they will get good entertainment on the day.
Good. Like, not having Tomás available for selection this year is going to be a little bit difficult. Do you see him playing any part within 2014? Well,
I hope so. You know, all we can do is, I suppose all Tomás can do is hope that there's no more infections come back. He got 3 serious infections in his knee, and which caused an awful problem. He was moved from Santry to Vincent's Hospital. He's been on IV treatment, you know, so spent 48 days in hospital, so it's pretty serious. Like, so to answer the question, I don't know. I keep my fingers crossed. I hope he will, but look, we're going to do everything we can to get him back. It's going to take 6, 8, 7 months maybe, but look, the longer we can stay in the championship in 2014, the better chance we'll have Tomás Waters of playing. So it's up to the other guys as well to pull their socks up. Yeah,
well, that's what we all want, really. I see the lads are training outside there. How's it going this year for you?
Well, we've just started back there the last 2 weeks. You know, it's Tuesday night here. There's only 13, 14 guys out there, but we're not asking players to travel down from Dublin, from Cork, from the Curragh this year, which we would have last year. We get together on Friday evenings, Saturday mornings, the occasional Sunday as well. And we just said we'd change it a bit. But look, if the 13 guys weren't out there tonight, they wouldn't be doing anything. So it's up to everybody themselves to be looking after themselves. And but we always look forward to a Friday night when we've got the full panel there, or most of the panel there anyway.
Yeah. Just on the panel, like last year there would have been a lot of talk about the dual player. Do you think that there is room in the current game, in the modern game, for a dual player to exist?
Well, I suppose we were caught up in it last year with Lee Chin, and you know, Lee found it very difficult. And you know, in fairness to Aidan O'Brien, and in fairness to myself as well, I'll give myself a bit of credit here. You know, we tried to work as best we could towards Lee. You know, as I would always say to the players, they're the pawns, and if they weren't talented, we wouldn't be looking for him. I don't know if there is. It's like you go back to Teddy McCarthy when he won the All-Ireland hurling and football in 1990. That time, if you got beaten in the championship, you were gone. Whereas now there's back doors and side doors and trap doors that you get back in the championships, both hurling and football. You know, with the qualifiers, make it a long season on a player. I know that Aidan Welch from Cork now is talking about playing both. Shane Dooley and Offaly is talking about playing both. To me, honestly, I don't think it's possible. You know, okay. I don't really think it is, that a player just can't give the commitment that he needs to give to the code that he's playing. But look at Lee gave it a go. Maybe as he gets a bit older, he might want to do it again. I don't know, but he's opted for hurling this year. That's not to say there's no guarantees that Lee Chin will be on the hurling team, but I think he's given himself a great opportunity to progress as one of the top hurlers by the fact that he's going to concentrate on hurling.
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk in the media recently about the league structure and everything. I think there was a motion tabled there in October to the Central Council to look at changing the structure for 2014. Are you happy with where Wexford is pitched at the moment in the league, or would you envisage, you know, a change?
Well, I had hoped that I think it was Michael Burns, a Monaghan man, came in with the new format of 2 groups of 6 with 7 games. I had hoped that system would get through, but at the same time I didn't mind if they left it the same as it was last year, which they did eventually. You know, and in fairness to Jimmy Barry Murphy, he came along a week ago and said he was happy enough with the league structure, but I think if Jimmy Barry Murphy had came along 2 months ago, and said that there wouldn't have been all these meetings up in Croke Park about the structures. But we've got Cork, Limerick, Antrim, Laois and Offaly in our group, and top 4 teams go into quarter-finals. So we prepare for a Welsh Cup in January, and then we'll go straight into the National League. So look at, I would have preferred the other system to come in, but I'll just get on with it, really.
Yeah. Is it a bit early in the season to ask you for a sneak preview of some of the goals for this team, or?
Look at, I mean, you have to try and, well, not, I suppose, to answer the question straight to the point, the National League will be a priority. You know, it wouldn't have been a priority of Liam Dunne's over the last number of years, to be honest with you. Just survive in the groups that we were in. But I think we've progressed now. Players mentally and physically are in a lot better shape than they have been from when I took them over 2 years ago. We've a lot of good young players coming on stream as well. And I think the ambition of the management and the team has to be to get into a Division 1A of a National League, and then obviously the Championship, you know. And we have the winners of the round robin, and there's a huge incentive there, whoever we meet, which will more than likely be Carlow, Antrim or Laois, you know, to win that game. And if you win that, you've got a game against Dublin in the Leinster semi-final in Wexford Park, so that would be a huge goal to get those boys back down again now in the Leinster semi-final in Wexford Park. I'd look forward to that one.
Yeah, just like looking at last year, like where would you see Wexford pitted in, you know, as in relation to standards? Like if you look back at how they performed last year, there might have been kind of, say criticism would be maybe a strong word, but how the team were actually performing. And then if you look back in hindsight, like they brought Dublin to a replay, they challenged and quite possibly could have defeated Clare, who are the All-Ireland champions. You know, are we being a little bit harsh on Wexford hurling in general?
Well, I suppose we've put ourselves in that position for people to be critical of us, and I think they're right to be critical. You know, I mean, we haven't performed. You know, I look back on last year, and I suppose not so much maybe the results. We did bring Dublin to a replay and Clare to extra time, but we lost both games. But for my own personal side of it, I just felt that the actual players believed that they could actually win those games, which was a massive for myself. And I believed we would beat them as well, to be honest with you. But it didn't happen. We didn't. But you know, you can't just live on that as well, because if we don't raise the bar over the next number of months and we stay to where we were last year, you know, you won't be with those teams after 70 minutes. But look, at people are always going to be critical when you're not bringing home silverware, but I couldn't be critical of the commitment that I'm getting from these players over the past 2 years, and they're starting to buy into a new way of living your life on and off the field. And to be an inter-county hurler at the top level now, you dedicate your life, and I mean everybody's doing it, or it just won't happen for you, because there's nobody out there going to give Wexford any respect. I mean, they just have to go out and earn it.
Yeah. Just looking at our own home game and the competitions within Wexford this year for the Championship, it seemed to be a lot, you know, closer, although Oulart, you know, are still that step ahead, as they've proved. Like, that has to be heartening to you as a county manager. Like, is there anybody that you've kind of like identified from their performances within the Championship that's kind of like going to get the Liam Dunne call up, or?
Yeah, well, I'd prefer if Oulart were much further ahead. I don't mean that really, but no, I think that, you know, without realising it as well, I mean, it's the first time in a long number of years that the players are allowed to go back and play with their clubs, and it's something that I've been huge on. I mean, I was involved with Oulart for 3 years. I had 11 guys that were involved in a senior hurling setup, and we never had them for any league games in Wexford. And whereas this year we've along with Murty and Tomás as well, I know Ger Cush is involved with us as well now. You know, we want guys hurling all the time, and the more times that clubs can pick their full team and have their county players with them, you know, the better games they're going to have. But there's definitely, if you come into the panel here now on a Friday night and you've seen the amount of young guys that are in this setup, like, it's just unbelievable, you know. And that's they're in here for a reason, and that's because they're performing with their clubs. And I think we had one of the better championships that we've had for a long time. And you know, Fate Harriers put Oulart to the pin of their collar in Belfield, and they could have been beaten. I took Oulart in the last 20 minutes in the semi-final against the Shelmreers when Clive Lawler went off, you know. anything could have happened if Clive hadn't went off injured. The county final against Ferns could have went anyway, and that's just on one side of it. Glenbarntown got to the semi-final again. So I think clubs are starting to realise that maybe they're getting closer to Oulart as well, and that can be only a good thing for Wexford.
Just like talking about Oulart, and they're obviously in the Leinster Club Championship, and we wish them the best of luck next Sunday, but have you any advice to the players and to the management having been there last year?
Well, I suppose I was there for 3 years, and unfortunately we didn't get to the Holy Grail where we wanted to get there, but it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment and a lot of dedication, and I know what them boys put themselves through, and I often got in trouble over the years there that could be 2 or 3 of them going to a wedding and they'd be telling me to have training on that evening so they could come back for it, but I was the bad boy that was calling the training session, but really it wasn't the case. And it's all the small little things, but the one thing about these group of fellas, they've had to keep coming back to win the county final, to win the championship, to get a crack at Leinster again, and they brought Ballyhale to extra time. They've been beaten in the last 3 Leinster club finals, but with Wexford as well, we got beaten in a league final in 1990, 91, and 3 games against Cork in 93. We were beaten in the Leinster final in 92, 93 and 94, and we stayed at it. It's the same thing with Oulart. On any given day, if they perform on this day from start to finish, they have a great opportunity to win, but if they don't, unfortunately, this could break the camel's back, but please God, if there's a God up there at all, hopefully they will.
Yeah, and just maybe to end on a little bit of fun, just what's your favourite colour?
Or red and black.
That's 2 colours. We let you away with it.
Purple and gold as well. I have 4 colours really.
Your favourite day of the week and why?
I'd always look forward to a Friday. A Friday is a good day really, and I suppose maybe from a Wexford hurling manager's point of view, the fact that we pick Friday as a night that we have everybody together, and it's whereas we haven't been, I suppose I'm going away a little bit, like we haven't been successful, but there's a really good camaraderie building within this group, and players are becoming very committed to the cause, and they want to be involved, and I want to be involved with them as well. So I think a Friday, or and I'm looking forward to a happy Sunday at some stage, maybe when we take one big scalp against one of the big boys.
Yeah, and just finally, 3 people you'd like to have dinner with.
3 people I'd like to have dinner with. I don't think I'd like to have dinner with anyone. Unfortunately, with the budgets at the moment in the county, with the county board, we're not allowed to eat anything at the moment. But 3 people. Tom Hanks would be one anyway. I think he's a fabulous actor. Katie Taylor would be a second one. And then just to really spice it up, I'd have to pick Roy Keane as well. So I have a jersey sent over to me many years ago from Roy Keane, and takes pride in possession that I have, along with an All-Ireland jersey. So I definitely have to have a rider.
Right, and just finally, just to wrap it up then, just any advice to any young players looking at this interview?
Well, for any young player that's looking at this interview, and I would have said this publicly, that and people would ask me about Wexford, and a lot of people would ask me, have we got the hurlers in Wexford? And it sort of irritates me a little bit when I'm asked that question, because I'm looking around at different guys individually with clubs, and I would say that, and we started with him and I'll end with him, and that's Tomás Waters. For any young guy that wants to hurl for Wexford, if you look at Tomás Waters as an example, a guy that had 2 hip operations a year ago, played no hurling for St Martin's or Wexford in 2012, applied himself on the field and off it, was totally dedicated to the cause to come back after the operations, and one of his goals was to make the Wexford team first of all, and the second goal was to make fullback, and his third goal that he wrote down was to become an All-Star nomination at the start of the year. And who knows, if he hadn't have got injured that day, he could be an All-Star, not an All-Star nomination. But for any young player, this can happen to any hurler in Wexford if he applies himself on and off the field, and his desire and will that he wants to hurl for Wexford is there for him. And we're down a little bit at the moment, but we're not going to stay down. So if there's any young guys out there that are wanting to hurl for Wexford, I would say to him, look at Tomás Waters as an example at the moment and watch the way his rehabilitation, which is going to take a supreme effort individually to come from him personally, to come back from this injury now after two hips last year, and just watch the way he will progress and come back to be a fantastic player for Wexford.